Well, welcome today to the Simply Free Little Talk. I'm your host, Free Little. I am so excited because I have the fabulous team of Sound Heard Media Group LLC. And each one of them brings so much to the table. I've had an opportunity to speak with each one of them individually as well as collectively today. And it was amazing to me. I learned so much in a short time period, but I want you to get to understand this industry. The music industry is not you just show up one day and tell them I can sing or I can perform in some area of rap or singing and you just get in. It's a lot of work, a lot of years of preparation, but more importantly, even the most gifted and talented individuals, you'll hear from these experts. That's what I'm going to call them today. That it's still a development and it's still a process of developing individuals to be the very best at what they do. So, without further ado, I do want to thank the listening audience. Thank you guys for tuning in. You're always so faithful. And we do have a giveaway today. I'm so excited about the giveaway. But more importantly, I'm going to bring in these amazing gentlemen. I have four handsome men, four talented men in the studio today. Yes, I do. So, thank you, sponsors, for being amazing because I get to enjoy these talented individuals. So, Sound Heard Media Group LLC is in the building of Simply Free Little Talk. Let me bring Brian Nelson on first. Hi,
Hey,
Brian.
Free.
Welcome.
It's so good to be here. Thank you for having us.
Yes. Brian is actually, this is your second visit on the show.
Yes.
The
Yes.
great change is that we're doing it now for your own production company, media, record, all of that, all of the above.
Right. Yeah. We're excited to be here. Since then, yeah. Um, we have started, or I have started, a media group which houses a record label, a production company, a publishing company, as well as a studio.
I love it. I'm cheering and applauding at the same time.
Yeah. So a lot has developed
A
since
lot has developed.
yes. And
So, Brent, I want to get into it with you because we can be here all day with Brian, guys. He has many, many years in the industry. So, tell them some of the famous people that you personally work with as a performer.
um my journey started way back in the 80s, uh, like really about 88, 87, with a group called Take Two MCs. We were around and wound up opening up for Naughty by Nature. We down with OPP, Tretch and them. So I had a chance to
I
MC
remember.
and bless the stage with Tretch and Vince and Kay. So that was also cool. From there, went on to owning my own studio. Um, from the studio, we went into a record label. As I was working the record label, I was working for Sony as a client service. So when I came into Sony, my first 2 weeks were with Billy Joel. He was preparing for the River of Dreams tour. So I had a chance to work around him and cater for him. And at that time also was the MTV Jams Unplugged and all the MTV Unplugged. So I worked every show,
Yes.
um, and catered to all the artists, for all the shows. I've worked around Michael Jackson, Mariah Carey, Nirvana, Stone Temple Pilot, Duran Duran, um, Tevin Campbell, Queen Latifah, Janae, Tony, um, Tupac, Digital Underground. So the list, again, I spent about 7 years at Sony. So having a chance to be in the studio or in the working studio where they actually come and do the work was amazing. Luther Vandross, Celine Dion. Every day for me was exciting. You walk into a candy store. How about walking into Willy Wonka's chocolate factory every day? And that's how it was for me because I
Wow.
had a love for the music, and I continues to this day still have a love for the music. So,
Yes. Well, I
and
was blessed to see some of your pictures with Tupac and other celebrities that you named because you literally worked with them. You guys actually had a working relationship. You got to know them on a friendship level, and some celebrities you're still in contact with.
yes, Yep. You try to keep those relationships open. You try not to burn any bridges. This industry is so fickle as it
Yes.
is. And you are only as good as your last hit. And when you don't make hits, you don't make a lot of friends. So
Wow.
the friends that I keep in the industry, I've always been behind the scenes. I've never I could have probably taken pictures with everybody, but that
Yes.
really just wasn't my thing. Like, to have the friendship was a lot better than have the picture. They say pictures last for a lifetime, but if you're the right person and you present yourself the right way and you continually to make yourself um, useful for people,
Yes.
then you keep your circles. So that I did. So the behind the scenes people I still talk to and keep in contact with, and I have a project coming at now, so we're going to see how well things work. And even though they're friends, I still approach it as if my artist is not known by anybody and has zero fans. And that's the approach that I tell everybody on our team. You know, oh no, Chris has so many fans and he has so many followers.
Yes.
And it's going to be a great platform in this industry. It's going to be a great platform over here in this section. I'm like, hey, well, I understand that and I accept that, but I still have to approach it as if he has zero fans. And if we're starting from zero, no matter what he has,
No matter
because
what. Yes.
yeah, the success or failure of this company is going to rely heavily on the decisions that we come up with as a team, and I guide this team. So if I take it as yeah and take advantage or just take credit for Chris's previous fans that I haven't done the work for, doesn't seem right for me. So for
I
me,
appreciate that.
we're going to roll the ball. I want to start from the first inch rolling the ball, and hopefully we make it up the mountain so that we can watch this ball go down the mountain the easy way. And like I tell my company, hey, look, we're doing this, but it's not going to be an overnight success. This is a long haul. It's the music industry. It's the music business. Record industry rule number 2080. Record
Wow.
company people are shady. And it is. So although I do have friends and I do have contacts in the industry, I know that we still have to do it ourselves to be able to give our friends um, things to work with. So I don't know if we're still there, free.
No, you are. You are. I was getting my giveaway today. I just said you can go ahead and hold it down. So
Like
with
yeah,
that being said, Brian, I want to bring in one of your youngest team members,
awesome.
but someone who's a great influence and who's bringing and making a difference. Hey, we got Mr. Chris Weaver on the line. He's in the building
How
listening.
about Anthony Rosabal?
Yes. And who is
Hi, how's
this
it going?
wonderful young man?
My
Um,
name is Anthony.
That's right. Anthony's a wonderful businessman. But Brian, tell me a little bit more of your connection to Anthony because that was a reason that you saw greatness in him.
so I met Anthony in college. Actually, I went back to school at a later age, and both of us graduated with the same program. We both have bachelors in show pro, um, which is show production. So we know how to run broadcast cameras, broadcast lights, broadcast audio, live audio, corporate audio, anything that says audio. Anthony and I can work with anything that deals with cameras. Anthony and I can work with. We've worked together not only on school events with
Mhm.
shows, but we also work from January to May with a company called Post Media Group over at the ESPN Worldwide of Sports, where we do the national dance and cheerlead competitions finals. So we either work on as a technical director or a camera operator or a playback operator or a camera logger, but we do ESPN and work at Disney from January through May.
Mhm.
And while that's not happening, Anthony has his own gig working with a company down near Miami and in West Palm. So, as we came together in college, just knowing Anthony's work ethic and seeing his thought process through 2 years of school of how he handles problems, how he looks at situations, how he looks outside the box, or always brings a new idea, I said, wow, he would be great to keep around the team. Not only that, knowing where I'm at 52, social media, some things in social media are a little behind me. So I knew I had to keep a younger generation around me, and who better to kind of help lead them but Anthony and one of our other business partners that we'll later bring in. So and somebody else who's not on this call is my daughter. She's not on the payroll, but she actually helps out with social media because she's 15. So at 15, she gives an idea and a perspective of what her generation looks at and wants to do social media wise, what their trends are. And then I have Anthony right above her, who knows what his age bracket is,
Mhm.
what they look at. And then we'll meet Carlos later, and we have his age bracket. And then we have, Weshon in my age bracket, which is above. And so we kind of deal with the Facebook because that's what we know. That's what we were introduced with became.
That's your flow.
But we need the younger generation to keep
Yes.
keep our age range. When we want to put music out there to the masses and we want to focus on 17 to maybe 49, well, I need people who are in that vein of 17 to 49 to let me know what's going on, because the 17-year-olds better not talk to me unless their parents are around. And the 49-year-olds, I'm not out there in the clubs, as much as I used to be, to where I'm talking to the 49-year-olds. So I need those age gaps around me at all times. And I even said when we develop a research and development team, that I want to keep the ages under 24. We'll start them at 17 and 24. Then after 24, we're gonna have to promote you to another part of the industry, so we can always keep that vitalism and that young. I know the world. You remember when we were 17 to
That's so
25,
true.
26 years old. We were. I was telling my parents what was going on, but again, my 17 was completely different than other 17 years old because I was already in entertainment. I was already acting. I was already going back and forth to New York and performing, and I was already doing music by then, and I was already cut the umbilical cord between me and my parents so that I can have a professional career in entertainment. I didn't care where I landed, whether it was acting or
Mhm.
music. I really didn't care. I just wanted to be in entertainment, and I knew that from a very, very, second grade. I was leading plays in school,
Okay.
and
Wait, because you have an
yeah,
extensive
I
theater
was writing my
background as
own
well.
music. But not to deter from where we were with Anthony, that was, going back to that, the creativity, thinking outside the box, keeping things young was a vital part of Anthony's role in this company, from inception to today and moving forward. So
So, Anthony, with that being said, because I'm glad he gave that wonderful introduction of you and what you bring, your youthfulness, but you have great wisdom as well. And I want to say that. And I even saw one of your fans say Anthony is the man, and I believe that.
Yeah.
So, Anthony, talk to us, share with us what your role is and what are you really bringing to the table at Soundheard.
Well, aside from, the youth aspect of it, I also am a producer for Soundherd. So I'm bringing in my sound to the herd, so to speak,
Yeah,
you
to the
know?
herd. I
So
like that.
like, for example, this our first single with Chris Weaver, I produced that song. And the
Oh,
thing about that,
God.
I actually had made that instrumental probably about oh, nice with the sound effects. I had actually
Yes.
made that song probably about 2 years ago, and it's just been
Okay.
kind of sitting until we had formed this
Mhm.
company and started getting into working with Chris. So I've been kind of honing in and crafting my sound for the last like 5 years now, because I haven't been making music my whole life too. That's the other thing. My journey to music was very topsy turvy and all over the place because after graduating from high school, I was like tons of other kids. It's like, okay, what do I do now? It's either I get some kind of work doing something, or I go to college, or I don't know. So I did what most people do. I enrolled in my local community college, and I just kind of figured it out as the years went by. And after doing community college here in Miami, I was able to move to Orlando to go to the University of Central Florida because I had picked another path that I thought would work for me. So that was where that led me. And once I moved to Orlando, is when I really started to discover making music. And the ability to just make a song on my laptop and put it out on SoundCloud without anyone having to tell me anything, and I can just do as I please. And that was so fascinating to me and so freeing that I could just create things and put it out into the world without restrictions. So at that time, being a student at UCF is when my music making skills started to grow. And I kind of started to just think like, wow, this is something that can potentially be a thing for me. And the love of making music grew and grew and grew, and the idea of getting into another career that wasn't potentially as fulfilling for my life was just not an option for me. And I had to kind of make a split decision where it was like, either I go down one path and choose a career that I may not potentially love for years and years down the line, or I can take a big risk in my, early 20s and try and do music and just go for it and see what happens, which is why I then left UCF to go to Full Sail to learn how to do this professionally, which is where I met Brian, and now we're here.
Wow. Well, you know what? I'm so glad that you're a part of the team because I actually see your potential. I see your value to the company. And I see Brian's huge smile.
Yeah.
He's very pleased with you. I want to also bring Carlos in, just like you had an opportunity to share your experience and your journey and what you bring to the table. I want to bring Carlos in, and then I'm waiting for Weshon to come in and just bring all of his wealth of knowledge. And then, of course, I'll take you guys out so you can kind of speak a little bit more. But Mr. Carlos, come on in and join us. How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
Wonderful, wonderful. Glad you're here. We're gonna let Anthony get some rest for now. So, Carlos,
Yeah.
share with us, what are you bringing to Sound Heard?
All right. So, well, first, I met Brian through school as well. We were both in the same graduating classes as Anthony. So, when he started this whole process, I wasn't really involved at first. I told him I don't want to come in until I know that I can bring something to the table. So, because I don't, I know me. So I need to make sure that if I'm going to come in, then I'm going to come in the right time. So he reached out to me randomly in April, and he said, hey, things are starting to grow. I kind of need you. I see what you've done with me through school. Seeing as I have a military background, I am structured in some senses. And he said, I need you to kind of help me structure, the business. So I was like, all right, yeah, now I can bring something to the table. Like he said, we learned in school video, audio, and lighting. So I was during that time where I told him, you do your thing. I'll kind of, keep getting better at my thing. I started getting more involved into videography. I had help with a couple teachers, a couple friends, and they've been really getting me involved with videography. So that's when, Brian said, hey, now that you know a little bit more about videography, that's what you're going to be doing as well. So I like to think myself as, a jack of all trades. So and even if I don't know something, I'm the kind of person that'll try to learn it, whether it's YouTube, whether it's actually sitting down and reading something. So, I just try to be an army Swiss knife. I like to learn as much as I can. Brian has taught me so much when it comes to the music industry, and I'm very thankful for him for that. So, one thing that I do bring to the table is a lot of passion, a lot of ideas, and even if my ideas don't get put on the table, that's fine. We're able to talk it out and really come up with the main plan at the end of it between the four of us.
Well, that's what I love. It's a team effort with everything, and that right there makes me proud of what you're doing as well. And you bringing that. I think Brian said it best earlier with the age group of each one of your ages. He's knowing how to, with a strategy, of course,
Right.
how to bring audience in to see what you guys are actually doing. So I'm going to take you out again. Well, this time, Carlos, and bring you back because you have given us a wealth of information as well as what you're doing. And I want to say this. You said something that a lot of us take for granted. You said, I want to make sure I'm bringing something to the table. And when you're Marine, as a Marine veteran now, you're bringing a wealth of structure as well as your experience. So that's good. So I'm going to take you out and bring in Mr. Weshon. Mr. Weshon, you have, oh my God, experience from, I love your story, being 14 and working in the music industry. But Cheryl, what are you bringing to Sound Heard?
Whew, whew. How long is this show?
That was a load, look, that was a loaded gun. Let me that was shots fired. He's bringing a
Yeah, I mean, look, these group of guys that
yes.
guys that are on this call are so special to me. Um, all of them are like brothers to me. We've all come together like a family. But this young man, I've been in the trenches with Weshon, swinging, in the trenches since 92, 93. The love that I have for this man is immeasurable. Um, to start off there, the second thing is what he brings to the table for us is incredible. Um, Incredible with the help of the studio and being able to organize our different groups that we're working with to come in and out and to be able to mix, master, get them recorded. He's in Delaware, I'm in Florida, Anthony's in Miami, Lois is in Orlando. We're not in the same town. So it's not like, hey guys, Tuesday night at 7 o'clock, let's get together and we all meet up at the house and start drinking beers and talk about what we're going to do. It's not like that. We all function separately as one group. But what we brings to the table with us, especially right now, because we're in the mixing, mastering, let's get videos done, let's do photo shoots. We're in that process. He's been vital to it with the access of the studio and having the artists come to him. So immeasurable. And then, bringing in people like the photographers and videographers, incredible help, the knowledge that goes into business. That's why I said, how long do you have a show? Because
Weshon has a lot. So
right,
share with us, you work with oh my God,
you muted.
countless
Yeah.
artists.
Yeah,
But
so
go
I,
ahead.
I can tell you that you, from the perspective of the company, Brian and I had worked together. We had a company called World One Records. This was back in the '90s, and then we parted ways, and we kind of did our own thing for a while. And it wasn't until about a year and a half ago that he contacted me and said, I have something going on. I want to see if you want to be a part of it. I said, absolutely. If everything is perspective and everything is written up properly, then I'm on board. If it's going to be a thing where we're going to, haphazardly go into this, I can't be a part of it. And so he broke it down to me. We had a very long, we probably talked about 6 hours that night. And then the next night, and then the next night. And so it was a thing of where we said, okay, well, let's figure out exactly what we want to do and let's move forward. So when it came to working initially, we were talking about doing, because I have a brother and sister-in-law who are very big into doing a lot of TV work, a lot of film work. They've worked with several artists. They're Grammy Award-winning producers and
Mhm.
writers. And so I have a relationship with them. Of course, that's my youngest brother. I also have a brother-in-law by the name of Eric Roberson, who's big in music. He's
Oh,
wrote for
Eric
some of
Roberson.
everybody. And so I said, well, I can bring these things to the table, but let's make sure that we're synchronized so that whatever platform they're working at, whatever facility they're working in, we can accommodate that as well as have them accommodate us. And after we started talking about doing production, and we were talking about initially placements, just doing like TV placements, ads, things of that nature. And then through our publicist, and Brian has been represented by a publicist for the past 7-8 years, Yvonne Forbes. And so he said, well, she just contacted me, said she has an artist who was on The Voice. Let's see if we can work with them. So we started working with him, and then we came to this realization that if we only do production for him, we're giving up the whole wheelhouse to somebody else to pick him up, take him on, and facilitate his projects. We said, okay, well, how about we start a record label? And then we started delving into that. And that's where Brian and I really had to gain a greater understanding, a new understanding rather, of how the industry operates because it's nothing like it was. I started in the 70s, so I went from the 70s, 80s, 90s, early 2000s when I retired from the music business, and then I just got back in. Well, I didn't just get back in, but I just started working diligently in the past 2 years towards gaining my expertise and also being able to facilitate different projects from that point. So Brian is he's the linchpin to it all because he's the one who brought all of the younger guys into the fold and then the relationship that he and I have, and then I'm able to bring in a lot of the established relationships and we work in unison with one another. That's my brother right there. I love this man.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
that's right.
love that.
We have been through it all, and I've made a lot of money in this industry. I've done a lot of stuff where I can't expose what I worked on because due to non-disclosure agreements. But where I really got my footing when it comes to, and Brian was alluding to this about recording, mixing, and mastering. I've
Yes.
had recording studios for over 30 years,
Mm.
but I wasn't really that adept into the mastering process. I could mix, and I didn't understand that in the mix process, you have to accommodate the mastering process. So I started doing some mentorships with some of the most incredible people who work in sound design.
Yes.
I worked at Powerplay, Hit Factory, Sony Studios, Calliope, um, Chalet
Sean
Studios,
King, D and
Tony
D.
King. I've worked out of every one of those studios, and
Wow.
so it
Saw
gave
that.
me a greater sense of how to accommodate a project, knowing that every facility is different.
I
The
have to interject
aesthetics.
real quick. Real
Go
quick.
ahead, babe.
Weshon studied under a mastering guy by
Mhm.
the name of Herb Powers. And
Man,
Herb Powers did a lot of mastering for Sony. I was very close to Herb when I worked at Sony. His son worked at the Hit Factory, which was right down the street.
Right down
Um,
the street.
yeah, would it be very familiar to some people if you remember the video "One Sweet Day" with Mariah Carey and Boys to Men? That was
Mm.
recorded in Sony and the Hit Factor. I was running back and forth all day that day. But going back to Herb Powers, who we Sean studied under, Herb allowed me to hold his Grammy. So, me and Wishon had a little, he went his way. He was doing his thing. I was doing my thing at Sony. And then when we came back 20 years later, he goes, "Yeah, man, I was doing this mastering stuff and I studied under Herb Powers." I almost like cried. I was like, "Are you kidding me? Like Herb, like that was my man." Herb Powers, incredible, incredible guy. The Grammy I held was for a Miles Davis album that he had mastered. So, and Wishon had the opportunity to work with this guy. That's like, let me work with Quincy Jones as a producer. That it's that type of who are you working with in the industry that you probably won't know his name.
Mm.
absolutely.
I
And
tell you,
that's
people don't know who's behind the scenes, though. We Sean, correct?
say that again.
A lot of people really don't know the work that goes behind the scenes, and they
Oh
don't
no,
know those
not at all.
individuals.
Not at all.
It's a
I
lot to
can
the
tell you
future.
that any record that you've ever heard and it just had that drive and that feel and that distinctiveness in it and
Mhm.
the whatever type of flavor it is, whatever you wanted out of those songs came through the mixing and mastering engineers, and they don't get royalties. We don't get royalties for stuff like that. It's a one fee. Once it's done, we move on to the next thing. And so you have the thing about me in particular is that I'm a very private person. Out of all the celebrities I've ever worked in my entire life, and I've worked with probably 125, 130 top tier, I would say A and B listers, right? I've never taken a picture with any of them. I never asked for an autograph because I've always, my mom used to always tell me, "You're so thick-headed and you're so independent minded and you want to just run everything." And I said, "Well, that's not the case. What it is that I realize I'm a human being, and anybody I come across is another human being. You're not. I'm not a fan of yours. You know, I may love your music and I may love what you do, what you bring to the table, but in the same token, how about asking for my autograph and take a picture with me? So
Yeah.
I've never been into that. I actually was working with Cuba Gooding Sr. on the soundtrack for one of his son Cuba Gooding Jr.'s movies that he was working on, and we worked in the studio together. He came to my studio, we worked
Yep.
together, and it was crazy. And I still have that. I still have the script that they gave me. It's in
Mm.
my basement somewhere. I don't know
So
exactly what box, but
basically-
somewhere in the basement. And then I have all these master tapes and stuff. And I was, employing some of the younger guys to really understand what we had to go through in that realm, because everything was analog and manual.
Mm.
So if you had
Explain
dropouts, like
analog to
I remember
people.
sessions. Okay, so analog is magnetic tape where you had a machine and you recorded on that machine in a certain time. The speed was either 12, 24, or 36. So what would happen is when you start your recording, a lot of it, if especially if we did orchestral stuff, where we had a whole band and they're performing at the same time. If somebody made an error from the start of the track recording to the end, you had to record the whole thing again because there was none of this digital stuff where you can cut and paste all of your verses, all of your hooks, all of your ad libs. All of that was done back to back to back to back, and it had to run through the whole entire tape. So if we say, okay, let's run the tape back, the difference between today and then is that we had to run that tape all the way back through a machine, and it
Mm.
would take 2 or 3, sometimes 2 or 3 minutes. It depends on where the placement is on that reel. It can take 2 or 3 minutes just to rewind it back, and then find your placement, and
Right.
then you take
Wow.
your next shoot. So today, especially when it comes to vocalizing hooks and doing your bridges and some of your background vocals, we can cut and paste that in seconds as opposed to the way it used to be. I'll hold up something for you real quick. Let me. I have some
There's the
Havench.
difference.
I have some
Here's,
Havench.
here's analog, which was tape,
Right.
and that was digital.
So
And this is what we used to work with. Now,
Wow, he went all the way back. The
yep,
reels.
here's the new
so
digital.
Yes.
this is half inch tape.
Yep.
This is what you consider your mix. Okay. We had
Um,
2-inch tape. They're the same diameter as this, but they were 2 inches thick.
Yep.
And that's what you recorded your 24 and 16 track recordings on. And if you did 48, you had to have two machines time sync to one another where you can record on two reels at the same time. So it's a whole different world from what
Absolutely.
it used to be. And it took me, I'll be honest with you, for me to delve into the digital, it was
mhm.
like pulling teeth because I was like, I don't like it doesn't have that authenticity. It doesn't have the warmth and everything I'm used to. The electronics, the sounds, the distortions, all of
Yeah.
the elements that came into doing analog recording were supplanted by this uber clean sound that sounds bad. Like I've even when I first delved into doing digital, I was working on Pro Tools and I was recording. I was like, "Why?" I said, "The songs sound phenomenal. Everything sounds clean, but it's too clean. Like, how can I get some distortion or some type of noise in there?" And so I started looking into the different noises, the different parameters of noise. So you have white noise, you have pink noise, you have brown noise, black noise, or whatever. And once I started entering that into my mixes, it gave you that spread that you were looking for. Because we come from an era, Brian and I, where we had this broad spectrum that we were used to working in. Digital brought it into here.
Right.
And so it's important when you're talking about mixing and mastering that you have somebody who has the know-how, number one. Two, that they're going to deliver you the product that you want in the end understanding that they're going to take certain controls and put in certain parameters that you may not be aware of as an artist or even as a producer sometimes, where they're not aware of what we delve into when it comes to the hardware and the software that we utilize on every recording. We have immense libraries, from our mastering suites to our processors, our effects process, to our sound libraries, to all of the ins and outs that come along with that. It is There's a huge world of knowledge that you have to be able to do it the proper way. Not to say that some of these young guys aren't doing their thing. I appreciate what they do,
Mhm.
but you have to expand your horizon. The thing that makes us relevant today, Brian and I, is that we always stay attuned to music no matter what generation it is. So I listen to stuff. You might catch me on a day where I'm listening to stuff from the 1920s, 1930s. And then next day I'll be listening to the 60s. And then I'll take it up to the 2020s and then back down to the 1990s because I love music. I'm an artistic person and I would never put myself in the category to say that I'm an 80s artist or a 90s artist or a 70s artist. I'm still relevant today because I delve into what's relevant now. And I appreciate the music that's out now. A lot of guys in our generation, and even a lot of guys that have had tremendous success, I have a conversation with them. They're like, "Yeah, I just don't like this new stuff. I'm gonna keep doing my thing." I say, "Okay, well, you must be doing it for a hobby now because that's not the way progression works. Progression works where you're going to understand that there has to be change and there's going to be certain dynamics and certain parameters that you have to delve into that you may not be comfortable with. And I think that's really what the crux of it is that people are so comfortable in their place that they don't want to become uncomfortable again and have to learn new techniques and new models. And that's what we're
And
all
that
about.
brings me to, and I love that. I love what you guys are saying, but it brings me to Carlos and Anthony again. And I want to hear from them in regards to coming into this industry and learning so much from, I'm going to say, legendary, they're icons in their field, in their industry. So either one of you take the wheel now and just kind of share with us. Um, you have this, I don't like to say old school, but this wisdom in the industry, and now you're bringing your fresh eyes and ears to the scene. What are you doing to contribute to sound heard in that regards?
Do you want to take it, or you want me?
I'll take it.
Let's go for
I'll go.
it.
So it really is a great thing to see and be a part of, like listening to their stories, because they both have, you know, tons and tons of stories, and it really it is like, I'm glad that I'm experiencing it because it helps me put things into perspective of, like, here's what things were done, or here's the way things were done at one point to get to a certain level of success, and then if we want to maintain that now with this generation, there's things that have, like, although the industry has changed a lot, there are certain parts of the industry that has not changed, which I'm definitely not familiar with, and they are. So I'm taking that advice from them, and then as well as kind of doing my own homework to kind of see what has changed and what has not. But I get a lot from them because there's so much that I don't know that is still relevant today that they're more aware of than I am. So I have to kind of just take their advice as it is and kind of just roll with it. But part of, being younger is that we can have conversations about what is really changing and what isn't, and then we kind of have to find a way to merge both of those things together to create our own path, because we want to be sustainable not just for the now but also in the long run. So although things haven't changed up until today, things are going to change from today on. So we have to not only be aware of the way things were done in the past, but we also have to be aware of how things are being done now, so we can kind of create our own lane for the future to be able to stand out and be different from the crowd.
Wow. Okay, take it away, Carlos.
So I mean, and I agree with everything. The one thing that I will add is just, Anthony's younger than me, about less than 10 years, but still, we're pretty separated. While I was in school, him and I actually became roommates. So I've lived with him. I've learned to learn, I've learned to see how he thinks and all that stuff. So it's funny, like one of the, I'm very big on music. One of my favorite artists is Jadakiss, and one of the lines in his songs, he says, "Friends turn into brothers when they've been with you the longest." And to me, these three guys have been really turning into my brothers because of all the knowledge that Brian and Weshon bring and they tell me about. Like, I learned that from them. Now, me kind of being in the middle definitely helps us out because sometimes maybe Anthony may not think the way that Weshon and Brian think. But I know a little bit about that. I may not also think that way, but at least I can connect with them a little bit more. So I'm kind of like in the median where I'm just like, all right, well, I see their point of view, but I also see your point of view. And that's where we can come with a happy median. So these three guys are my brothers. Everything that they've taught me, I'm thankful for. So it's just, keep moving forward. And like Anthony said, things are going to be changing. And, we just got to adapt and overcome. That's one of the biggest things I learned in the Marine Corps. So.
Okay. I'm loving it. I see the strategy, Brian. You're so wisdom, my friend. Your wisdom, it speaks for itself in this interview with the team that you have. And I'm so thrilled that you're here. So I'm going to come back to you. You've remained relevant in this industry in so many genres of being an artist to engineer to promoting, producing, managing. Just
Clothing
share
line,
what you would say. I'm sorry.
I said, and even a clothing line. In
And
between
even the
my
clothing
music
line.
career, I was working with a clothing company as an executive and going through plans and designs. So I never really left entertainment.
No.
And I'm never going to leave entertainment.
It's in your blood.
Hopefully my kids respect me enough to at least put a musical note on my tombstone.
I think they would accommodate you. So I'm going to go around and ask everybody their wisdom from what you've experienced. Carlos, you kind of touched on it. You kind of jumped the gun on me there. But when you said what you've learned from all the guys, and I love the respect that each one of you have for one another. Anthony has just really touched my heart because I love how humble he is and willing to learn, but he understands the power that he brings too. And I love that Brian respects the power that he brings and what his capacity really entails. Each one of you guys are amazing. So I see the success of Sound Heard. But Brian, I want to start with you, and then we'll work our way around with just leaving us some wisdom nuggets, even encouragement for aspiring artists that really want to get into the music industry.
Okay, so a little nugget that I will leave for those that want to pursue anything, any aspect in the industry, whether it's being an engineer, whether it's carrying cables, working behind mixing boards. If this is what you want to do, and it's kind of funny. Nike really said it. You just do it. You wake up every day and you do it. And I tell the guys this when we first started. I don't have to tell them this anymore. But when we first started, I said, guys, if we just do one thing for our business every day, after a year, we would have accomplished 365 things. It's just one thing. It could be a phone call. It could be an email. It could be, let me write a song. Let me start writing a song. But just do one thing for your industry every day. Don't worry about a holiday. I send out emails on holidays. You know what I say? Happy holiday, whatever holiday it is. I send them out to my friends, my loved ones. That's work for my company because now when I present something to them, at least they'll be tentative to be like, oh man, you know what? Every holiday I get something from this guy. So you have to be persistent. You have to be consistent. You have to stay dedicated to your craft. Even as the artist, when we talk to the artist, we let them know being an artist is more than just coming into the studio and laying down lyrics.
Mm-hmm.
It's way more than that. There's a social media presence that you need to keep up. If you're a singer, then there's your vocals you have to keep up. And just like baseball players and football players and anybody who deals with a sport or anybody who deals with education, you have to be taught this regardless if you have the talent or not. Chris he's a fantastic vocalist, but he still needs to go to a vocal coach to be taught how to use his instrument better. We have to encourage our artists to really be the artists. Not only do you have to work on that, but you have to work on your physical fitness. It's not just about singing in the studio. There's other things that you have to maintain. When you walk out the door, you have to be the artist.
Wow.
You change from, okay, I'm Brian Nelson at home when my doors are closed. When I'm with my family, my loved ones, I'm Brian Nelson. When I leave this house, I'm B Nels. Everybody knows me as B Nels. So as an artist, like we tell Christopher Weaver, hey, at home you're Christopher Weaver. But the moment you walk out that door, you are CJW in every way, shape, or form. Everything that you do, what you touch, what you eat, what you say, how you look, everything has to be this artist every day. There's no, I feel sick. It's like being a mom or a dad. You can't take the day off because you're sick. You still got your kids you got to maintain.
Yes.
Well, as an artist, as a
Wow.
producer, as a singer, songwriter, whatever your taste is in this industry, you have to get up and do that every day. And you will see, again, by practice makes perfect. Repetition responds to progress. They work hand in hand. It's like, gravity is going to respond to me letting go of this phone. If I produce every day, after a year of producing, there's no way that I don't get better. There's no way. If this is what you love, if this is what you do, then you have to dedicate it to it. So that's my tidbit to anybody in the industry. You know,
Anybody in the industry.
you know, you want to be able to put out the best product that you personally can put out, whatever that may be. Um,
Okay.
and again, our team, I love these guys because they're all open-minded and they're
Yes.
all pinpoint focused when we need to be. Everybody brings something to the table. And our company was a lot bigger than this, and we had to trim it down because you do have to, see who's dedicated to your cause. You know,
Absolutely. I
the
totally concur with that.
these guys put boxing gloves and get into the trenches with me when there's times when we don't have money.
Yes.
And those are the people that I need to keep around me because, when you do have money, you'll see that you'll have fair weather friends with that money because they're just around when the money comes. When the money goes, they go. Well, guess
Wow.
what?
That's
These
valuable
brothers
right
are
there.
here. These brothers are here whether I got a penny or $100,000 or $300,000. It don't matter. They're here, and that's why when I look into this business and look to say I want to push this thing forward, my everyday let me get up and do something is 3 to 4 things, sometimes 5 and 6 things a day, so that I know I've accomplished my 365 things. I go well over 1,000 things that I do for my label, but I have to. I love it. It doesn't. And again, when you do something that you love, it doesn't feel like work. So,
Right.
we have our challenges. We butt heads. You know what I mean? But the bottom line is that we still love each other, and we're still here for a common cause to move this project forward and to say, hey, we can build this company from no notoriety to a legacy that our grandchildren's grandchildren can
Yeah.
enjoy,
That's it.
if we keep it together. Like, the people who own Sony, do you think that their grandchildren are worrying about what college do I need to pay for at 6 years old? You know what I mean? Or, even, Phil Knight and Nike, you think kids are really worried about how am I going to get a new car when I turn 17? Jeff Bezos, do you think that his family or generations have to worry about, how are we going to feed our families? No, and Sam heard this vision, this dream starts off the same way that those did. And we put our shoes on and we put our underwear on and our pants on one leg at a time, the same way as every successful man or woman does. There's no difference in them. The only difference is they got up every day and said, I want to do this and I'm going to do this. And there's no hurdle big enough that I can't jump. I'll jump a high hurdle for my team. This is what I need to do. So and each one of us take that same affection for this company. And that's why I know we're going to be successful. And again, we know that, hey, it may not take a year. It may not take 5 years. It may take 10 years. But guess what? We're here for the fight and it's going to happen. And whenever it takes, it takes. We all have our plans, but, I truly believe it goes according to his plan. And when
Awesome.
he's ready for it to happen, it's going to happen. But he's opened up so many doors and so many opportunities for us that when something's God driven, you know, and you feel it, and it's passionate, and you get the glory bumps down your arm when you hear the right notes being hit, and when people say the right things about social media. Hey, Brian, you know what? We should do this, and you get the chills and say, "Damn, Los, you are right." And that's why I told Los, I said, "Look, you're going to take over the social media team. You and Anthony, y'all do all the social media stuff because the ideas that they present to me for the company is so much better than the ideas I could have generated for myself." So again, everybody brings importance. Everybody has passion. My tidbit is to stay consistent, stay persistent, do what you love to do, but absolutely love what you're doing.
Okay, I love it, Carlos. And then we'll go to Anthony, and then Weshon, you can close it out with your wisdom. Thank you, Carlos.
All right.
All right, for me, a little bit different. I was going to say consistency, but
Mhm.
in reality, just surround yourself with people that are as passionate and they're willing to grind. Me being surrounded by them pushes me to be better. If I wasn't around them, I'd probably be lazy. So it's just like you got to surround with people that inspire you, and these guys all inspire me, in very different ways. So you got to build the team. You can't always do it alone. So to have that team with you to be able to help you accomplish, it could just start out small. You and a partner getting to a point where you weren't before, but at least you're getting that help. Somebody else is as inspired as you. So with me, it's build that team that's going to inspire you to be better every day.
Wow, I love it. Anthony?
I agree with Carlos, because when him and I used to live together, I was the baby of the house, and him being a Marine, I had to kind of step up to the plate and show that
Yeah.
I'm game, you know. But really, my little piece of wisdom is more so for people who are curious about something, but they're not really sure where to go, and they don't know if it's going to be something promising or whatever. It's just like, if you're curious about something, try it, and if it doesn't work, try something else, and if that doesn't work, try again, and keep trying until you can't try anymore, because that's the only thing that will stop you is yourself. So as long as you don't stop, there's nothing that can really stop you.
That's powerful. Now that came from what he's saying. He's the youngest. Whoa, that was some. Look, I just gotta take my mic.
I drop.
That was a mic drop for real. Oh my God. I don't know. Can I go on now? We
Yeah,
sure
you
give
can
us something. Wow,
Okay,
that was good.
so my tidbit would be that if you have a passion in life, you should go with your passion with, in connection with that, earning a living doing something else that may not be your passion at the moment. Because this business, or any business that you start, I've had stores, I've had restaurants. My family and I have been through the ringer when it comes to real estate. And the thing about it is that we stay consistent. So if you're going to delve into something, let it be something that you're passionate about. It can't be about the money, because a lot of time you get into something, you say, "Oh, well, I'm just going to make a whole bunch of money and walk away from the situation," and it really doesn't work that way. That's not how you get to profit. The other thing is that I would encourage people to invest in themselves. Not enough artists invest in their own careers, and then they want to argue and gripe about the fact that they're not getting their just desserts when somebody else fronting up everything for them. So if you're passionate about music, or you're passionate about learning, the beautiful thing about today that Brian and I didn't have access to is the internet. We used to have to go to libraries, the law libraries, the local libraries, the county libraries. We had to go and sit in actual physical seminars and lectures to gain wisdom. Now you can go online, and I don't say this to tell people that everything that you hear online is the gospel, because there's a lot of misinformation in there, and there are people who are trying to profit off of your lack of knowledge. But if you do your due diligence and you research this industry
Love
or
that.
any industry, you can gain success.
Absolutely. I totally concur with that message as well. You're going to make me keep dropping my mic over here because I'm a firm believer that people should do due diligence in anything. Just don't take someone's word or just assumptions can get us all killed. That's what I always think.
Right.
So I want to know and have the facts. So I thank you, Justin. I love Justin. Whoever Justin is, guys, y'all, he's amazing. Because Justin be saying facts, and it is everything you've said. Each one of you brings something so valuable to the table. So again, I personally want to say on Simply Free Little Talk that I want Sound Heard Media Group LLC to be extremely successful. I really do pray that each one of you guys experience that success. You have the wisdom, you have the wherewithal, you bringing so much to the table. You guys are a dynamic team. You really are. You really are.
Thank you so much
my
for
pleasure
that.
to have you guys here. Thank you. No, thank you guys. Yes.
Can my social media guys give the our call where we can be found on social media? I told you I'm 52. You can find me on Facebook.
Right.
Brian, I'm just gonna call you when I need something. You know I know how to call you. So
That's right.
yes,
Anytime.
by all means, let them do that. And also in the comments, even after the show, go back in and put all of the contacts in so that everyone can hear. Give me a buzz. Say Sound Heard's going up. Great advice all around. I totally can agree. I totally concur with that. I agree with you completely that they're giving great sound advice and that they're going somewhere. They are. That's why they're here.
Yeah.
I believe in you guys.
And we'll be back. We look forward to coming back, actually.
Yes,
Right?
yes. You guys are coming back in 2 weeks or so? Is it 2
October
weeks?
15th, we will be here with Chris Weaver because
Yes, we'll have Chris back, guys. Yes.
yeah,
So,
so October 14th is going to be his release date of the song "Take Your Time with Me," produced by Anthony, co-written by me and a writer out in Cali.
yeah, let's try to work on that
really-
New York thing.
Really excited.
So go ahead, Anthony, share with us.
So we got SoundHeard_records on Instagram and TikTok as well. And then also follow Chris Weaver on Instagram. And that's where we'd be posting all of our updates and all information about the release and all things SoundHeard.
And our website is soundheardrecords.com. We can be found there as well. You know, we do production, we do writing, we listen to new artists. You know, we're a fully functional record label. We're a fully functional production company. We're a fully functional publishing company, which makes us a fully functional media.
The full package. You guys have a full package.
Right.
So I'm going to ask again, will either Carlos or Anthony actually put those in the comments? Because even on YouTube, go in those comments and actually put your information in, because you'll be surprised people that come back later and listen to the show. I was going to give away a book today. I think I'm going to wait till next week. So if you were tuned in today and you want to be a part of the book giveaway, you got to tune in Monday. I'm definitely giving this book away. It's by amazing 10 female artists that write about relationships, and each story will draw you in, each story. So I wanted to plug that. And so without further ado, I want you all to tell the audience thanks for tuning in and follow you guys on social media.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you all. Thank you all for coming
Honored
in.
to be here.
Yeah, thank you guys. Thanks again, everybody.
Yeah. Free. Thank you for having us. We really appreciate the opportunity, and we'd love to
Appreciate you, Free.
in the future.
Oh, thank you guys so much. And Weshon, you know I'll be on the line whenever Brian connects us on a three-way, because you guys got some wisdom. If y'all want wisdom, I'm telling you guys, they're gonna charge for y'all wisdom, but I'm gonna give
Well, you know, you're gonna have to do a mini series if you really want to get the gist of everything, because
yes, that's
Brian
true.
and I can talk. We can talk for hours upon hours. So just let that be known. And the thing is that, you know, I just want to add this point, is that we're not selfish with our wisdom. We're not trying to charge people to give them some insight into something that we learned along the way, because we were hungry for it, and in a lot of ways we had to pay for that financially. And it's difficult for people who are just getting into the industry. So if anybody wants to reach out to us directly and get some insight or ask us questions, we're always available.
Yep.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm glad you extended that. Just put the information, like I said, in the comments. And as people do come back, they do watch the replays, and I love that. So it says, "Let's go." Can't wait to check it out. So Justin said he's ready to check it all out.
Shout out to Justin.
Yeah, shout out to Justin. He's one of our photographers.
Shout out to Get Him Biz, Dave.
I
Appreciate
love
you.
it.
And get him biz too.
Dave.
Yeah, and
Yep.
get him busy. I like what Anthony said about he had the soundtrack already, and it just worked out perfect for Chris. So that was good. So I'm waiting to hear that. So how
I
soon
can't
can
wait
I
for
hear it,
everybody to
guys?
hear it.
I gotta
The
wait till the 14th.
the official release is going to be on the 14th, but
I know.
check out Chris Weaver's social media sites. You can hear
Okay.
parts of the song now, and we're working on the video to get some video released out there as well.
Okay, maybe I'll get in the video or something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll let you, when
Right,
it's
so-
ready, I'll let you know. You'll be one of the first, Ray.
All right. Thanks,
Mhm.
Carlos, so much for tuning in. Thank you, Anthony. Thank you, Weshon, and thank you, Brian. I really appreciate it. Bye. Oh God, that was incredible. I love when you have talented individuals on and then their hearts are so willing to help. And so they're going to put all their contact information in the comment section so that you can reach out to Sound Heard Media Group LLC. They are ready. They are a power packed entity. They have the production, they have the media, they have the record label, the just everything. Just check them out. Just check them out. So without further ado, this is Free Little, your host of the Simply Free Little Talk. Thank you for tuning in. It's been my pleasure to have Sound Heard here. They have great, great, great things in store for you. Check out Chris Weaver. Be blessed.